Greetings and blessings, magical beings. I'm Manon, your guide through the captivating world of Wicca and witchcraft here on Witch in the Working. Prepare for an enchanting journey as we dive into all the witchy wonders in and around, throughout and about, above, below, and beyond our ordinary realms. Don't forget to extend your magical exploration through my diverse platforms. You can connect with our vibrant community on Facebook, Instagram, and even support us on Patreon. You'll find the direct links in the descriptions below. For those of you who subscribe to my Patreon, you will receive access to full scripts of most videos, perfect for adding to your personal Witch in the Working Book of Shadows. Fancy some Witch in the Working merchandise? Cast a glance at my Shopify store linked in the description for some enchanting treats. We've got everything from shirts, mugs, and stickers to bags and beanies, each infused with the Witch in the Working spirit. There have been many a towering figure who from shadows and starlight have sculpted the landscape of modern day occult practices. These are the trailblazers from past and present who wove their knowledge into the very fabric of witchcraft and Wicca. From the empowering teachings of Doreen Valiente, the mother of modern witchcraft, who bravely advocated for the resurgence of pagan traditions in a skeptical world, to Gerald Gardner, often considered the father of witchcraft, who brought the old religion into the public eye and forged the path that so many of us follow today. And of course, in the contemporary sphere, we have practitioners like Phyllis Curott, a pioneering spiritual teacher and attorney whose writings bridge the gap between ancient wisdom and our modern world. Eliphas Levi, Helena Blavatsky, Dion Fortune, Anton LaVey, Raymond Buckland, Starhawk, Christopher Pinzak, these luminaries and many more form the constellation of influences that shape the craft we know and love. In this episode of Witch in the Working, we will be talking all about another major influence that contributed to the foundations of our modern day occult world, and this is the one and only Aleister Crowley. Whether you respect this influential occultist for his contributions to our craft today, or buy into the negative nonsense that developed around him, Crowley was a major piece of the puzzle that has been built and is being built in our modern day practices. So let's jump into the life and accomplishments of the beast himself. Roll the intro. Welcome back, everybody. So, Aleister Crowley, a figure shrouded in mystery, intrigue, and controversy, was an influential mystic, ceremonial magician, and prolific writer in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. His philosophies, teachings, and practices have become cornerstones in various occult societies, influencing the development of modern witchcraft, Wicca, and paganism. Understanding Crowley's influence on these practices is essential for anyone seeking to navigate the labyrinth of modern esoteric spiritualities. Crowley's most significant contribution to the world of the occult is arguably Thelema, a philosophy religion he founded based on experiences and revelations during his visit to Egypt in 1904. The guiding principle of Thelema, do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, love is the law, love under will, has echoed through modern paganism and witchcraft, representing an individual's sovereign will to seek out their unique spiritual path. The influence of Thelema's fundamental principles can be discerned in the core tenets of witchcraft in many contemporary pagan traditions. These paths often prioritize personal experience, autonomy, and the development of a self-defined spiritual practice. Crowley's definition and practice of magic, with a K, as an art and science causing change in accordance with will, has permeated many forms of modern witchcraft and paganism. He detailed his magical and mystical theories in numerous works, introducing an array of rituals, ceremonies, and practices. His rituals, such as the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram, LBRP, have found their way into many modern magical practices, providing foundational techniques for banishing, invoking, and balancing elemental energies. The complex symbolic system he developed is used in many magical traditions today, offering a depth of meaning that practitioners continue to explore and interpret. The relationship between Crowley and Gerald Gardner, the founder of modern witchcraft, further illustrates the English occultist influence. Gardner was initiated into the Crowley's ORDO, TEMPLI, ORIENTIS, or the OTO, and many elements of Thelema, including phrases, rituals, and concepts, were incorporated into Gardnerian witchcraft. While witchcraft and Thelema remain distinct paths, the crossover of ideas between the two is a testament to Crowley's enduring impact. Despite his profound influence, Crowley is often misunderstood and maligned. Labeled as the wickedest man in the world, his controversial lifestyle, provocative persona, and the sensationalist media portrayal have often overshadowed his contributions to occult practices. It is crucial to separate the man from the myth, acknowledging his innovations while critically engaging with his more problematic actions and beliefs. Crowley was undeniably a complex figure, brilliant, baffling, and at times deeply troubling, but his influence on modern witchcraft, Wicca, and paganism is unmistakable. Exploring Crowley's legacy allows us to better understand the origins and evolution of these traditions, appreciate their philosophical depths, and engage more fully with their practices. Today's practitioners can learn much from Crowley's life and teachings. By understanding his influence and philosophy, one can explore the complexities of personal power, the nature of the will, and the potential for transformation that lies at the heart of modern occult practices. This exploration is not about endorsing or rejecting Crowley wholesale, but about understanding our spiritual lineage and using that knowledge to inform our own paths. So, who exactly is this Aleister Crowley? Born Edward Alexander Crowley on October 12, 1875 in Royal Leamington Spa, England, Crowley's early life was steeped in a devoutly religious household. His parents were members of the Plymouth Brethren, a strict and conservative Christian sect. This religious upbringing, which he rebelled against, later became the fuel for his search for spiritual alternatives, leading him into the world of occultism and mysticism. Crowley attended Trinity College at the University of Cambridge, initially studying philosophy, but later switched to English literature. It was during his university years that his exploration of the occult began in earnest. Fascinated by literature, poetry, and various mystical texts, Crowley developed an insatiable curiosity for religious and magical traditions, a pursuit that would consume him for the rest of his life. Renowned for his audaciousness and free-spiritedness, Crowley was a prolific writer, mountaineer, and world traveler. His adventures took him to places such as India, Mexico, Egypt, and over here in America. These journeys significantly influenced his spiritual perspectives and practices, resulting in the creation of his most notable work, the Book of the Law, which became the foundational text for his religious philosophy, Thelema. In 1898, Crowley was initiated into the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, one of the most influential magical orders of its time. This initiation marked a critical turning point in his spiritual journey. Crowley's time with the Golden Dawn was turbulent, but it solidified his path into the occult, leading to his establishment of religious and magical societies such as the AA, or the Astrum Argentum, and the ORDO TEMPLI Orientis, again the OTO. Crowley's most enduring spiritual legacy is Thelema, a religion philosophy he founded based on his experiences in Egypt in 1904. The central tenet of Thelema is encapsulated in the phrase, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law," a statement emphasizing the absolute importance of individual will and spiritual freedom. Aleister Crowley was a figure of contradiction, at once magnetic and divisive. His life was filled with scandal, controversy, and sensationalism, often fueled by his own provocations and unconventional lifestyle. Labeled as the wickedest man in the world, Crowley's persona often overshadowed his spiritual contributions, leading to misunderstandings and misinterpretations about his true character and intentions. For instance, one very famous misconception is when Crowley was outrageously, and as far as I'm concerned, ridiculously questioned if his practice involved sacrificing children, in which Crowley patronizingly fired back, "Oh yeah, I have sacrificed thousands of children in my day." To the general public, this came across quite literally, but to those of us who know better, understood that Crowley was clearly referring to a euphemism for the act of sexual ejaculation or the practice of sex magic rituals, both key concepts of Crowley's philosophy. It's crucial to understand that Crowley's work was filled with complex symbolism, metaphor, and deliberate obscurity, so literal readings often led to misunderstanding. However, due to his deliberately provocative nature and his interest in topics outside societal norms, Crowley's work has been the subject of significant controversy, misinterpretation, and even deliberate misrepresentation. The spiritual journey of Aleister Crowley is a narrative imbued with intrigue, controversy, and transformative spirituality. This spiritual journey, characterized by relentless curiosity and rebellion against mainstream religious ideologies, led Crowley to establish a profound and lasting legacy within the esoteric community. Crowley's spiritual journey began during his time at Cambridge University, where he first encountered occult literature. Intrigued by these mystical texts, he commenced an exploration of various esoteric traditions. His search led him to join the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn in 1898, as I mentioned earlier, an organization that had a profound impact on his spiritual and magical development. Crowley's involvement with the Golden Dawn not only deepened his understanding of ceremonial magic and the Kabbalah, but it also fueled his growing disillusionment with Western religious institutions and his quest for alternative spiritual truths. As I mentioned briefly earlier in this video, the cornerstone of Crowley's spiritual journey was his experience in Egypt in 1904. Accompanied by his wife, Rose, Crowley undertook a series of rituals to contact ancient Egyptian deities. During these rituals, Crowley claimed to have been contacted by a spiritual entity named Aiwass, who he considered his holy guardian angel. Over 3 days, Aiwass, acting as a messenger of the Egyptian god Horus, dictated to Crowley the text of what would become the Book of the Law. This short but cryptic work formed the basis of Thelema, Crowley's spiritual philosophy. Central to Thelema is the maxim, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will." Thelema placed a strong emphasis on the individual's will as the primary force in the universe. It advocated for spiritual freedom and the pursuit of one's true will, free from social constraints. Crowley saw himself as the prophet of this new religious movement, tasked with guiding humanity into a new era, the Aeon of Horus. In conjunction with Thelema, Crowley also developed his unique system of magic. Influenced by his time with the Golden Dawn, Eastern philosophies, and his own revelations, Crowley defined magic as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. Crowley's magic was both practical and transcendental. He proposed a wide range of techniques, from divination and astrological studies to sex magic, to help individuals discover and accomplish their true will. His comprehensive text, Magic Liber ABA Book 4, remains one of the most detailed manuals of magical theory and practice. The spiritual journey of Aleister Crowley, though shrouded in controversy, undeniably had a profound impact on the landscape of modern spirituality. His teachings and practices continue to resonate within various esoteric societies and have significantly influenced modern paganism, witchcraft, and Wicca. So what are some of the contributions that Crowley has left modern-day occultists like ourselves? Crowley has left an indelible mark on the world of occultism and Western esoteric tradition. His contributions have served as foundational pillars for modern-day paganism. Let's delve into some of Crowley's key contributions that have shaped and continue to influence the occult landscape. Again, Crowley's spiritual philosophy, Thelema, remains his most significant contribution to the world of the occult. Born from a mystical experience in Egypt in 1904, Thelema centers on the principle of "do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will." This philosophy emphasizes individual will and personal spiritual freedom, concepts that have influenced numerous contemporary spiritual movements. To propagate the teachings of Thelema, Crowley established two key organizations, the AA, Astrum Argentum or Silver Star, and the ORDO TEMPLI ORIENTIS, the OTO. The AA serves as a magical order dedicated to guiding individuals to spiritual enlightenment, while the OTO incorporates a more social and fraternal aspect, incorporating elements of Masonic structures. Both organizations play a significant role in spreading Crowley's teachings and continue to serve as vibrant communities for practicing Thelemites. Crowley was an incredibly prolific writer. His numerous texts offer detailed insights into his spiritual and magical theories, providing valuable resources for students of the occult. Among these are the Book of the Law, the central sacred text of Thelema, and Magic Liber ABA Book 4, a comprehensive manual of magical theory and practice. Crowley's writings encompass a broad range of occult topics, from Kabbalah and astrology to Eastern mysticism and sex magic, providing an extensive body of esoteric knowledge. His corpus of work spans various subjects including occultism, ceremonial magic, poetry, and fiction. While the exact number of works can be difficult to quantify due to variations in compilation, republication, and inclusion of shorter works, he's known to have written over 100 distinct works. Some of his most notable publications include, again, that Book of the Law, the Magic ABA Book 4, the Book of Lies, and the Confessions of Aleister Crowley, among others. Crowley's development of unique rituals and ceremonies has had a lasting impact on ritual magic practices. From the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram to the Gnostic Mass, Crowley's rituals combine symbolic action, invocations, and a deep understanding of the spiritual and psychological dimensions of transformation. His ritual structures and techniques have been widely adopted and adapted within modern occult practices. In collaboration with artist Lady Frida Harris, Crowley created the Thoth Tarot, a deck that integrates astrology, numerology, Kabbalah, and other esoteric symbols into its imagery. This tarot deck is renowned for its depth of symbolism and artistic beauty. It remains one of the most popular tarot decks among occult practitioners and offers a complex tool for divination and personal growth. So let's address the elephant in the room, the mystical meeting that occurred between two of the greatest minds of the occult in the 20th century. The landscape of modern witchcraft and paganism owes much to two towering figures in the world of the occult: Aleister Crowley, the controversial and charismatic creator of Thelema, and Gerald Gardner, often referred to as the father of modern witchcraft. Their paths crossed briefly in history, a meeting that proved to have significant ramifications for the future of alternative spiritual practices. The intersection of Crowley and Gardner's lives was relatively brief, occurring in the last year of Crowley's life. The pair reportedly met in 1947 through mutual connections in the world of the occult. Gardner, already interested in witchcraft and the occult, was an initiate of the ORDO TEMPLI ORIENTIS, an esoteric organization that Crowley led. Although the details of their relationship are somewhat nebulous and steeped in hearsay, it is known that Crowley initiated Gardner into the OTO's lesser mysteries. However, due to Crowley's failing health and eventual death in December of 1947, the mentorship did not progress much further. One story is that Crowley was quite impressed with Gerald and the growth his witchcraft religion was experiencing. Crowley recognized the impressive growth of his witchcraft and asked Gerald that if he was made an OTO member, would Gerald help spread the word about the OTO as well. Gerald accepted, but quickly learned that he was more comfortable and dedicated to his witchcraft than the OTO, so he handed the reins over to another OTO member, and Gerald continued on with his pagan practices. Despite their brief association, Crowley's influence on Gardner was considerable. When Gardner went on to establish the tradition now known as Gardnerian witchcraft, the echoes of Crowley's Thelema were clearly discernible. Many of Gardner's rituals and practices bear similarities to Crowley's works, suggesting a strong Thelemic influence on the nascent form of witchcraft. For example, phrases from Crowley's Gnostic Mass were incorporated into Gardner's ritual structure. The Wiccan Reed's phrase, "and it harm none, do what ye will," appears to echo the central tenet of Thelema: "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." While witchcraft and Thelema are distinct spiritual paths, the overlap of ideas indicates the extent to which Crowley's Thelema had influenced Gardner's thought. However, it is essential to note that Gardnerian witchcraft also integrated elements from other sources, such as ancient ceremonial texts, Freemasonry, and the writings of Margaret Murray. The relationship between Crowley and Gardner and the extent of Crowley's influence on witchcraft has been the subject of much debate and controversy. Critics often point out that Gardner used his association with Crowley to lend his own witchcraft tradition a sense of historical legitimacy and continuity. Some have even suggested that Gardner significantly misrepresented his relationship with Crowley, fabricating or exaggerating their encounters. On the other hand, proponents maintain that the connection, while brief, was authentic and had a profound influence on Gardner's development of witchcraft. They argue that Crowley's influence is evident in the doctrines, rituals, and overall ethos of witchcraft, signifying the importance of their meeting. The narrative of Aleister Crowley and Gerald Gardner represents a fascinating chapter in the history of modern occultism. Their connection, though brief and surrounded by controversy, has had a far-reaching impact on the world of witchcraft and paganism. Despite the debates, what remains clear is that these two men, each in their unique way, profoundly shaped the trajectory of modern spirituality, leaving a legacy that continues to resonate within the world of the occult. It's certainly possible, and indeed likely, that both Gerald Gardner and Crowley drew from similar pre-existing sources in the creation of their respective spiritual traditions. The world of Western esotericism and occultism is an opulent patchwork of interconnected ideas, symbols, and practices, and both men were widely read and had access to a range of esoteric literature. Some of the shared elements between Thelema and witchcraft can be traced back to common sources that both men likely studied. For example, the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Both Crowley and Gardner had associations with this influential magical society. The Golden Dawn synthesized many elements of Western esotericism, including Kabbalah, tarot, alchemy, astrology, and various forms of ritual magic. Elements of Golden Dawn teachings and practices can be found in both Thelema and witchcraft. Freemasonry. The fraternal structure, ritual format, and some symbolic elements within both Thelema and witchcraft have clear parallels in Freemasonry. Both men had exposure to Masonic ideas and practices. Eastern traditions. Crowley was a student of yoga and various forms of Eastern mysticism, and these interests influenced his development of Thelema. While Gardner's interest in Eastern traditions was less pronounced, he did live in Asia for many years and likely encountered Eastern ideas during this time. Folklore. Gardner in particular drew heavily from English folklore and the alleged remnants of pre-Christian witchcraft traditions in the development of modern-day witchcraft. Crowley also showed interest in ancient and indigenous religious traditions, and such elements may have indirectly found their way into Thelema. While these shared sources likely contributed to the similarities between Thelema and witchcraft, it's also documented that Gardner had direct exposure to Crowley's work and incorporated aspects of it into witchcraft. However, this doesn't diminish the fact that witchcraft is a distinct tradition that also reflects a wide array of other influences. Aleister Crowley, a man who once dubbed himself the Beast 666, has been an emblem of controversy, a source of intrigue, and a canvas of misinterpretations throughout the past century. Let's take a closer look at some of these misconceptions surrounding this influential yet often misunderstood figure in the world of occultism. Crowley was an evil Satanist. Due to his exploration of the taboo and his self-styling as the Beast, many have labeled Crowley a Satanist. However, this is a simplification and a misunderstanding of his complex belief system. Crowley did not worship the devil in the traditional Christian understanding of the term. Instead, he often used Satan as a symbol of personal liberty and rebellion against societal norms. Crowley's main spiritual contribution, Thelema, is not satanic. The philosophy of Thelema is centered on the maxim, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law, love is the law, love under will." While this mantra may have been seen as hedonistic or radical, it promotes a spiritual framework emphasizing personal freedom and individual will. Crowley advocated for a moral behavior. The misunderstood Thelemic maxim, "Do what thou wilt," has led to the perception that Crowley was promoting reckless and unethical behavior. However, in its context, this phrase is not a call to anarchy or immorality, but rather an exhortation to discover one's true will, a concept in Thelema akin to one's highest spiritual purpose, and to align one's actions accordingly. Crowley believed in a form of ethical reciprocity expressed in the phrase, "Love is the law, love under will." This suggests that while pursuing one's true will, one must do so in a way that does not infringe upon the will of others, highlighting the importance of balance and respect for others' autonomy. Crowley's magic is solely about power and control. Crowley is famous for his exploration and practice of magic, which he defined as the science and art of causing change to occur in conformity with will. This has often been misconstrued as seeking power and control over others. In reality, Crowley's magic was much more about self-transformation and the pursuit of spiritual enlightenment. Crowley was merely a hedonist and a drug addict. It's true that Crowley led an eccentric lifestyle, often partaking in substance use and sexual practices that were considered scandalous in his time. But to label him merely as a hedonist or a drug addict overlooks the broader context of his actions. Many of these activities were part of his exploration of altered states of consciousness, spirituality, and personal liberation, which he saw as avenues to understand and express his philosophy and magic. Crowley was insane. Crowley's eccentricities, his unconventional lifestyle, and his willingness to explore taboo subjects led many to label him as insane. While Crowley was undoubtedly a complex character with many quirks, it is a mistake to dismiss him as merely insane. His extensive writings, philosophical insights, and the lasting influence of his ideas attest to his intellectual and creative capabilities. "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law, love under will." The two sentences encapsulate the core of Thelemic belief and have profound implications when properly understood. "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." At a cursory glance, one might misconstrue this to mean do whatever you want, but the true Thelemic interpretation is far more nuanced. The will Crowley refers to isn't mere whim or desire, but rather what he called the true will. This concept is similar to the idea of a life purpose or a divine calling. In Crowley's view, every person has a unique true will, which is their highest purpose and the essential nature of their being. This isn't about indulging every desire, but about understanding one's authentic life and purpose in the universe and striving to manifest that purpose. Therefore, do what thou wilt essentially means to discern and fully actualize your true will. Love is the law, love under will. This second sentence isn't just a platitude about the importance of love. The term love in this context refers to the concept of agape in the Greek language, which signifies a form of universal, unconditional love that transcends and persists irrespective of circumstance. Love under will suggests that this love should be directed and governed by one's true will. In other words, once one discovers their true will, all their actions, all their expressions of love for themselves and of others should align with this will. When combined, the two sentences indicate that each individual should seek to discover their true will, to pursue it passionately, and to align all actions, relationships, and expressions of love with this ultimate purpose. By doing so, Crowley believed that each person can live in harmony with their nature and the universe, contributing to the overall order and progression of the cosmos. It's worth noting that while these interpretations reflect a general understanding of the quoted lines, Thelema is a complex system with many potential layers of meaning and interpretation, much of which is subjective and personal to each practitioner. Crowley's influence extends far beyond Thelema, shaping many areas of modern occultism. His innovative approach to tarot, as seen in the Thoth Tarot deck, has had a significant impact on how tarot is understood and used today. His contributions to ceremonial magic, including the creation of the lesser banishing ritual of the pentagram, continue to be influential in both ceremonial and modern witchcraft traditions. Reevaluating Aleister Crowley's legacy involves recognizing both the flaws and strengths of the man and his work. It's true that Crowley was a complex character with his controversial lifestyle and his penchant for blurring the lines between persona and person. However, his philosophical contributions and his influence on modern spirituality are undeniable. By moving past sensational stereotypes and approaching Crowley's work with an open and critical mindset, we can gain valuable insights from his teachings. His emphasis on personal freedom, individual spiritual experience, and exploration of the self remain particularly relevant in today's world, offering tools for personal growth and self-understanding to those willing to explore them. Well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Witch in the Working. How do you feel about Aleister Crowley? Have you read any of his works? Let us all know in the comments below. If you liked this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't already. And don't forget to ring that little bell to be reminded of wonderful and exciting future episodes to come. I love you guys and gals. Blessed be.